Good morning, everyone. Virgo here.
The
It
facts
is
matter.
April 27th, 2020, and this is a special Snoop for Truth special report on Anthony T. Williams. You might remember him as him calling himself a private attorney general. Please take a moment and watch this Carmel on the case for information pertaining to this gentleman, and then I will give you the updated information shortly after.
44-year-old Anthony Williams was all smiles in court, charged with practicing law without a license.
Very simply, the state intends to prove through the presentation of evidence and documents that Mr. Williams is pretending to be a lawyer.
Williams operates an internet-based law firm. He was accused of acting as an attorney after he filed documents in a foreclosure case. Williams calls himself a private attorney general and a sovereign peace officer. Authorities call Williams a sovereign citizen. Believers think many laws do not apply to them.
We can't arrest nobody for traffic violation, but we are.
Last year, Williams posted this video of his arrest for driving without a license.
I'm also a foreign diplomat.
He says he doesn't need one. During that case, which took 8 months to conclude, he was taken to jail twice. First for failure to follow a judge's order, and then later for driving without a license a second time. In the end, he entered a no contest plea and paid a fine. But then, a month later, Williams was back in handcuffs, this time facing felony charges involving the unlicensed practice of law. When taken into custody at the airport, Williams was carrying his private attorney general ID, the badge, and handcuffs.
Y'all charging me with unlicensed practice of law, and I'm trying to get to understand what law are you charging me with unlicensed, because there's a whole bunch of law.
At trial, Williams represented himself.
The state has been very deceptive and misleading in what the real law is in the state of Florida.
He spent much of the time arguing with the judge.
And I've never given legal advice. I only give lawful advice. And there's a difference between legal and lawful.
You're arguing apples and oranges.
It took the jury 1 hour before returning the same verdict on all 10 charges.
The defendant is guilty of unlicensed practice of law as charged in the information.
It was bad news for Williams, and it was about to get worse. Judge Andrew Siegel sentenced him to 180 days in jail, 22 years probation, and ordered him to turn over his badges and ID.
He's prohibited from calling himself a private attorney general, an attorney, or implying in any which way, shape, or form that he has any ability to practice law.
As his supporters listened, Williams lashed out at prosecutors.
Both y'all state attorneys are crooks. Both y'all friends are y'all don't pay for what you did. The jury was rigged. I will find out. And both y'all going to jail.
But it is Williams who is in jail now, and he has more to think about than this case. According to authorities, he is currently being investigated for mortgage fraud.
Here is an update on the Anthony Williams trial. Anthony Williams had standby counsel to assist him throughout his case and, of course, at his trial. The attorney that was his standby counsel recently filed a motion for a new trial. It may, in fact, be granted, and here is why. Before she sent the jury out to deliberate, the judge gave a jury instruction to the jury which said that you may find the defendant guilty of federal wire/mail fraud if he intended to trick or deceive, or words that are to that very same effect. So either one of these acts would have been sufficient to have supported a conviction for federal wire/mail fraud. Indeed, that particular jury instruction had been the law on the Ninth Federal Circuit Court of Appeal, which governs Hawaii federal courts, for years. But just before the end of Anthony Williams' trial, the Ninth Circuit Court changed the law. Since that particular day, it had been the law on the Ninth Circuit that the jury may find the defendant guilty of federal wire/mail fraud only if he intends to trick and deceive, or words to that very same effect. So since that day, the jury had to find that the defendant intended to do both of these acts in order to support a conviction for federal wire/mail fraud. So at the trial, the judge, without realizing it, gave the jury an incorrect jury instruction, the old jury instruction. As of today, the judge has not ruled on the motion as to whether Anthony Williams will get a new trial or not, but Snoop says if he were a betting man, he would bet that the judge will grant Williams a new trial. Needless to say, Williams knew nothing about this motion in advance or the law on which it was based, but I have no doubt that Williams will claim all of the credit for the motion if it happens to be granted. I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of this update, and we of course will continue to follow the Anthony Williams trial.